Hello again. Please forgive the production, and also if the audio is a bit funky because I'm using a microphone. I actually went and bought a microphone to hopefully capture the message as clearly as possibly. Now today I want to talk about, as the title says, an incident I had yesterday with an intelligence unit from Police Scotland. Now, this message isn't doom and gloom. I'm not a keyboard warrior. I'm a normal guy. I'm a normal guy in what I think that I have a lot of normal views and opinions, and I see the world in a way that normal people and people with a bit of observation skills and a bit of intelligence sees the world. So I don't believe that I'm saying anything at all that's radical or anything out there. But I feel that what happened yesterday is important enough to come back onto my YouTube channel after a while and discuss it as a bit of a warning, but hopefully with a bit of optimism and how we move forward together as a society. Now, what happened yesterday was about 9:30 in the morning. I had a knock at the door from two chaps from Police Scotland's Intelligence Division. And what the visit was about was posts that I had made on social media, which actually came as quite a surprise to me, because for a while, if you're a subscriber, you probably know that I haven't been making videos on the YouTube channel. I'll occasionally post things on Facebook and on Twitter. Not so much Twitter, I like that because it's like the Wild West. You get every opinion under the sun from your ethno-nationalists, your liberals, your conservatives, normal people, pointless celebrities. But there's a lot of information that can be gathered and siphoned through and processed to get a picture of the spirit of things within society. Now, when I answered the door to these two chaps and they told me why they were there, addressing Facebook posts, they initially asked me if they could come into my home, where I obviously said no. Now, I'm not against the police. I'm in favour of police. I would hate to live in a society or a world without police. If you can imagine that for a minute, all you need to do is look at a YouTube channel of Billy Moore or DGA Media, check out Manchester of a weekend in the city centre. That place without police would be unlivable. It would be an absolute war zone, and I'm sure pretty much every big city and big town, and even to a lesser extent, villages and smaller towns and rural areas have their fair share of problems that the police do assist in. So I have got respect for the police. This is not a video to diss the police or the general police, but the police overall really shocked me and disappointed me yesterday, and I'll get into it more just now. So when asking the two gentlemen at the door, one was a Middle Eastern chap, another one was a white European chap, and race is important. If you don't believe that race is important, it's certainly a naive outlook in my view of how to view the world. Everything's important, from the way or the manner someone speaks to how they dress, how they appear to you. Gives you a lot of indications about their culture, their personality, basically gives you some guidelines as to how to address someone and how not to. But anyway, these gentlemen were quite polite. But the first thing the Asian fellow said to me, or the Middle Eastern chap, sorry, was, "Do you mind if we come in? I can see that your neighbours are peering out just now," basically having a nose into my business. Where I said, "No, I've not done or said anything that I would be ashamed of that I wouldn't even have a conversation with my neighbours with. So no, we'll have the conversation at the front door in the view of my neighbours, if they so choose to bore themselves enough to listen. So when I asked the police what I've actually said online that's caused the visit, or have I said anything that was against the law or hateful speech or inciting violence, to which they replied no, which confused me furthermore, because I'm now thinking, then why are they here? Well, the previous comments are trying to make me feel embarrassed. To have them at the door is obviously a coercion tactic to get a dominant position in the situation with me, which didn't quite play off. So then I asked, well, what have I actually said online that's caused the visit? So the Asian or the Middle Eastern fellow, sorry, he was the main speaker. The other chap in the background, we did go back and forward a few times, politely and gentlemanly, and they did conduct themselves throughout in a professional manner. There was no hostility and stuff, but the main speaker was the Middle Eastern chap, so I'll stop referring to him as that, because I didn't ask their names, I wasn't interested. So when I asked what I had said, he pulled out a list from a file and said I had been posting things that were pro-Hitler, Nazi propaganda basically, and anti-immigration things on Facebook, which surprised me because I do post various things from time to time on Facebook, and I have posted content that has had videos containing Hitler and things, because that's a part of our history that captivates my mind, and it arouses my curiosity. So I have looked into history over the past while in quite considerable depth, and I've come to my own conclusion from what I've read and what I've seen online and documentaries I've watched. And I know there'll be people saying, oh, watch some video on Twitter. That's not the truth. I've read Mein Kampf. I've watched hours upon hours upon hours upon hours of different points of view of Hitler as a person, what our role as a nation was within World War II, the good and the bad, mostly the bad, the shameful and the inhumane way that our government at the time abused its people and abused other people from other nations, and that would include our white cousins, our European brothers in Europe. But we won't go down that rabbit hole. I'm not here to do that. So when they have given me the reasons as to why they're there to speak to me, there was a look of shock on the gentleman's face and surprise when I said, but I am pro-Hitler. My political views are National Socialist, which is a Nazi, and but I do object to the anti-immigration thing. That's false. And the reason why, and I said to him, was because I'm pro-immigration. I've had family immigrate to other countries. I've had acquaintances and friendships with people from other countries and all different ethnicities, backgrounds and races and religions and things. So I did object to that point. So then I further questioned him as, well, what I've actually said. In the information that he had with him, he didn't have anything in particular, just a summary of information that allegedly someone else has passed to him and his colleague for him to go and follow up. Now, when I've made it clear that I'm quite savvy and quite in the know what you can say and what is deemed illegal speech, and we do have free speech still in the UK, you are free to air your opinions, I do believe that, but that, how would I say, I wouldn't even call it a benefit. That right, and it's not a human right, it's not something written down in a book of law, it's your right, it's your birthright. You're born with a free mind, you're born to freely express and communicate and hopefully in a polite manner, the way in which you see the world, because we all have a unique perspective on how we've seen the world. I've had every moment of my life has been different from every moment of your life. So we will see things, we can look at the same thing, whether it be a story in the news, or we can both look at an individual and see them the same, but we'll have different opinions and ideas about that person. And that is a freedom that we all should be able to express without the imposition of police coming up and interrupting your day. Now, I asked, well, who was it that gave you the information? And they said they've had a report that someone has made a complaint about content I've made on Facebook, which I questioned again, because I don't have a lot of subscribers on YouTube, I don't have a lot of followers on Twitter, I don't have thousands of people following me and on Facebook and things. Most people on Facebook and my social media I do engage with, and I feel like I am a good judge of character, and I know who can be trusted, who would say what, and I really genuinely feel that I don't have anyone that would go out of their way to get in touch with the police to report a video that's got Adolf Hitler going through streets in Germany with tens of thousands of people doing the Roman salute. I don't think that it would be people that would object to that, understanding the spirit of the video. The spirit of the video wasn't people being mowed down with machine guns or vulgar language or gratuitous violence. It was just, look at this wonderful, strong nation, a nation that I would love to live in at this moment. But my nation at the moment, the UK and locally in Scotland, is absolutely falling to pieces. But back to the conversation with the police. So when they couldn't tell me who obviously had made the complaint, I had doubt in that comment and that bit of information that they were giving me, where I had said, I believe it's more likely that the YouTube platform and other social media platforms will have AI tech, and I'm not a tech guy. I really am not, even though I've got kind of cordless mics and things like that. This is like all foreign to me, but I do understand that there is programs and we do have technology that can flag up certain imagery, which there should be to protect young eyes and things, which also the parents of these alleged people, or if young people are seeing my content and they're not capable to digest, the parents should be more vigilant in what their children are watching, not me having to worry about posting very legal things on a social platform. But when I put it to them that I believe that an algorithm's popped up with information about me because I've posted certain things that they have deemed as kind of far right wing, because they would like to label people right wing. You see it in the news and the media all the time. The Nigel Farages of the world, they class him as right wing, and Tommy Robinson and these sorts of people. Whereas we have the left, or we have the far left, we have the left, we have the centre, the right and the far right. As far as I'm concerned, the Tommy Robinsons and the Nigel Farages and these kind of political and people who make a living out of this sort of thing, which I have no desire to do. I'm a modest guy. I like my modest life. I like my modest home and my modest lifestyle. I have no aspirations to be rich and famous. It's a dead end and a very shallow goal to have for your life, and I won't go into that either because that's a deep conversation which we'll get to, because these videos are going to be becoming more and more constant. But when I suggested this, there was silence. It was almost like I was onto them, that I have an understanding about how they are kind of going about and getting their information, and it's solely to intimidate and stop people perhaps influencing the general public away from what they would prefer was on social media and the mindset that they would prefer the general public have. And I was going against that. It's not that I'm a non-conformist. I would love it if we could all kind of agree and conform, but sadly it's not an ideal world, or else we'd all be happily wealthy. We would have no problems, we would have no illness, we would have no worries and no burdens to deal with in life. But life does throw its challenges at you, so I'm a realist. I asked the guys, so if I haven't broken the law, I haven't said anything that's hate speech or hateful, excuse me a second, if I haven't said anything that's hate speech, why are you here? They were there to ask me if I wouldn't mind changing my Facebook settings to a private account because of the content that I'm putting up. Now, like I said back at the start of the video, which I'll try and be as brief as possible, if their job, I have no problem with Police Scotland or the police in general, we do need them, but if their job has been reduced to going out and catching people doing Facebook posts, I think that's an incredible waste at the expense of the taxpayer and the people who fund and contribute, and I know they pay tax as well, I'm not going down that road. I think it's an absolute waste of money. It removes people's dignity. They're trying to embarrass people for thinking outside the box, and that is not on. So the warning is, you may be posting things that are legal to say. You may be posting things that are conflicting the general ideas and the mindset of the general public. But you too, you could have, if you use these platforms, have police at your door with the intent to embarrass you, the intent to intimidate you because you're non-conformist. You have your own mind and your own freedom of thought, and that's what I believe we should be fighting for. Allowed to have our own freedom of thought and do it in a manner that isn't inciting violence. I would never dream of saying, here's a group of people, they should all be put to the sword or anything. I'm for having that level of free speech. And the reason for this is I'd rather know that Dave up the road, who's a mad psychopath, wants to kill a bunch of these guys, and I can keep my children away from him. I can stay away from him. I can warn people because I care about my community and my surroundings that be wary of this man. He has violent tendencies. He may get you involved in trouble that you don't want in your life. I'd rather know who the crazy people were than they are not allowed to say what they feel, whether it be online or not, and I'm not aware of it. Freedom of speech, like I say, is still here. You can say things in a certain way, but I believe that anything should be allowed to be said on any platform. And yes, there is things that children shouldn't see, but as a parent, it's the parent's responsibility to make sure that the child isn't playing Grand Theft Auto at 13 years old and normalising gang violence and all these kind of cultures that aren't part of our society. And we don't want them as part of our society. The main gripe is that I live in a small rural village in the central belt of Scotland. We have coke dealers, smack dealers, the general problems that most places have, and rather than put the alleged limited resources that Police Scotland have into dealing with this and being productive in making the streets safer, the people high up within Police Scotland, which I believe are probably liberals, people who have never been engaged in communities, people who have never been in reality, never had to work, they've never had to deal with violent neighbours, they've never had to deal with drugs in the communities and protecting their children from these things. People that are too young of age and don't have the wisdom to be in these positions, restricting the duties and responsibilities that police go into it for. And I even asked these guys, are you guys not embarrassed that you're here to deal with this when there's so much going on? And I did say to them, I'm not one of these guys that'll pull out a phone and stick it in your face so I can upload it onto YouTube. I'm not one of these dorks. I'm wanting to have a civilised conversation with these people. If it does go further And this video, or videos in the future, do bring police presence back, and it could be deemed that I've crossed a line and I may again get arrested in front of my children, or I may again be taken to police cells, or I may again be taken to closed courts, or I may again have to go through all the paperwork and all the hassle of dealing with the justice, and I use that term very loosely, the justice system. That might become a reality for you. So be mindful of what you post online. Again, no beef with the guys. They were quite cordial and reasonable guys, and I could feel that there was a sense, and they couldn't say it, but there was a bit of shame by the time I had finished talking with these chaps. And they were youngish chaps, they weren't as old as me. But they were youngish chaps, and they were fair, and I hope it gave them food for thought. And I said, go do your due diligence. When you go back into your brand spanking new pool car at the taxpayer's expense, take 5 minutes to look through my Facebook feed and see if there is anything that merits your trip, and I guarantee that there won't be. So just a heads up, be cautious about what you say online, but this is provoked me. I'm a combative person, and this is someone's putting their nose in my peaceful life, and I'm not just going to sit like a weak male and take it on the chin. I think I'm going to do a bit of more active things with regard to social media posts and having conversations with people in public. So that's all I wanted to say. Be mindful about what you say, because even though it is legal and lawful, not inciting violence and stuff, you may have the police at your door with the sole tactic to intimidate, embarrass, and basically make you conform. Do not conform, because when we conform, if we can look at and have a bit of foresight into the future, we may end up with these ridiculous Keir Starmer digital IDs. We may be taxed and pushed into having everything all electric, everything's controlled digitally, and these views that I have, somewhere down the line, if we don't get together and put a stop to this absolute bullshit, could be me trying to go out to work in the morning. I've been forced into having this electric piece of crap car, not even diesel, man. They press a button, I can no longer work because of something I said online. That could be you. Your life could be switched off as punishment for you having a free thinking mind. So I'm going to leave it there. I will be making more videos. I'll have nothing written down. I don't have a monologue like a lot of YouTubers and things like that. It's not my bag. I will say things that I'll maybe rethink later on and change my mind, because I do change my mind. I change my mind often on things because I'm constantly seeking the truth, and I'm constantly seeking better understanding so I can be a better example to the people around about me and the people that are in my life. These police, I wish weren't in my life, but now sadly they've become part of it again. So I'm going to need to deal with these guys. I'm going to need to keep myself square and resist what I can see is coming down the line. So if you've stayed with me at the end, thanks very much. If you have been a subscriber in the past, life has got not in the way, but I was